While thousands of people go missing every year, disappearances do not come more bizarre than this one. Today's case is the story of a young man who went for a week's holiday at a beautiful seaside resort with his friends, as many thousands of people do every single year. This young man never came home. He's been dubbed the most famous missing person on YouTube, yet he remains gone. This is the absolutely bizarre disappearance of Lars Mittank. Lars was born on the 9th of February 1986. He was 28 at the time of his disappearance in July 2014. Lars was a perfectly normal young man. He had a job at a power plant. He was very family oriented. His dad had had a stroke sometime before Lars's disappearance, and Lars was always happy to go and help out his parents when they needed it. He had a girlfriend. He had a close-knit bunch of friends, and it was his male friends, the lads, that he went on holiday with to the Golden Sands Resort in Bulgaria. It's just a few miles outside of Varna. So it was the 30th of June 2014 when 28-year-old Lars travelled with 4 of his friends to Varna. They arrived at Varna airport and then they got some transportation a few miles down the coast to the Golden Sands Resort, where they stayed at the Viva Club Hotel. It was Lars's first journey outside of Germany and everything went fine. Lars's friend Paul said the week went by really fast. They relaxed on the beach, they swam in the pool, they played football or soccer for you guys in America, and they checked out the clubs and the pubs, and they just had generally good time. Lars was relaxed, they all were. Nothing untoward happened. Lars was in a good mood the whole time, until the night of the 6th of July. Now, this was the day before they were due to fly home. So the last night, they were drinking, they were watching a football match. It was the World Cup 2014. Germans love their football, just like the British love their football. Now, Lars got into an argument with some other guys who were there, other Germans. Just something silly, really, but it kicked off. Maybe it was because alcohol was involved. He had this argument and, things got pretty heated. Lars then disappeared and his friends didn't see him for the rest of the night. However, by the following morning, he'd returned and he told his friends that he'd been beaten up by 4 men who'd been hired by the group of lads in the bar who he'd had the disagreement with the night before. Whether this was due to the first altercation or the second, Lars was pretty beaten up. He had an injured jaw and a ruptured eardrum. He went and saw a doctor who advised him to wait a few days before he travelled due to the pressure in the cabin when planes taking off and landing, like the changes in pressures. You know what it's like? You get that ear popping sensation. Well, imagine having the ear popping sensation plus a ruptured eardrum. It'd be intensely painful. So Lars took the advice and decided not to take the flight home on the 7th of July. They were a very close-knit bunch of friends and they offered to stay with him. They said, don't worry about it, we'll get flights back with you when you're okay to travel. And Lars said, no, don't be silly, I'm okay. You go, you don't have to spend any more money on changing flights and all of this stuff, it's fine. So they left. He's a 28-year-old man, he's fine, he's going to be fine. But it wasn't fine. things went downhill drastically once he was on his own. Now, Lars had to check out of the Golden Sands Resort because, the time was up. There was new people coming in. So he travelled to Varna, to the town of Varna, and he managed to get a room in a hotel called the Hotel Colour, which was close to the airport just for one night, which was ideal. It was cheap and it was just a few minutes away from the airport. But the hotel staff said that Lars was behaving strangely. And actually, when he disappeared and cops checked CCTV and, retraced Lars's steps, they saw him pacing around and around in the hotel lobby. Whilst at the hotel, Lars had called his mother, Sandra, and he was terrified. He was whispering, saying that people were out to get him, they were overhearing his conversation, they were going to kill him, they were going to rob him, and he told her to cancel his credit cards. Anyway, Lars left the hotel, this was around 1 a.m, and returned an hour later. Now, where he went for that 1 hour has never been disclosed. He got back, and whether he slept some, I don't know, but the morning after, which was the 8th of July, called his mother again, saying that the people who were following him were getting closer. So his mother was really, really worried. And, she told him to get a flight, but just to check with a doctor, and there's a medical centre at the airport, that he's safe to fly because of his ear. So he turned up at Varna Airport, and you can see him walking in, and he looks calm, he's got his bag with him, all's good. Texted his mother, Sandra, at the airport saying that he's arrived. He took his mother's advice and he went to consult with the airport doctor, who was Dr. Kostov. Now, he later described Lars as being anxious and erratic, but Kostov said, your ear's going to be fine, it's going to be painful, but you're okay to fly. All good. But unfortunately, the airport was undergoing construction at that time. And whilst Lars was in Kostov's office, a construction worker came by. And that terrified Lars. He started trembling, he started yelling, he was like, I don't want to die here, I can't stay here, I need to get out of here. And he fled. He left behind his luggage, and in his luggage was his wallet, his phone, his passport, all his money. He just fled. Now, he was captured on airport security. Now, this footage has been viewed literally millions of times on YouTube. I don't know about TikTok and the other places, but it's had millions of views. I mean, he really is the most famous missing person on YouTube, yet no one can find him. So he's seen on the airport security camera just fleeing. He goes outside, he can be seen jogging away, he's kind of looking behind him. He climbs the fence, runs into a field, and then the last point that he can be seen, he's disappearing towards some woodland. And he's never been seen again. That's over 10 years ago. Now, they got the cops. The cops had dogs. They couldn't track him through the woods. It's just like he disappeared. The cops did extensive searches. They got all the footage from CCTV. No one, though, appeared to have been following him. He was on his own the whole time. There was no one loitering. There was no one waiting for him outside. He just had this massive freak out and ran. Why? Why did his behaviour change so drastically? Now, some people have said it was due to the antibiotics. The first doctor that he saw, who told him not to fly for a few days, gave him antibiotics. But it can't be anything to do with antibiotics. Lars didn't even take them, so that can't be true. Now, some people have got really wild with their speculations and said maybe he was a drug mule, maybe he was paid to carry drugs, and then, they eat the baggies, and then maybe a baggie broke inside him. Well, okay, but why was he behaving like proper erratic and stuff the night before as well? I don't really buy the drug mule story. There's no evidence that Lars was on drugs. Now, maybe he was. Maybe during the holiday, maybe he took something. Maybe, possibly, it's a possibility. What else might it be? Well, the fight, the altercation. Now, the two altercations, one with the German football fans and then the one that he had when he was on his own. You know, where he came back and said, people are trying to get him. Somebody attacked him because he had a broken eardrum. That's pretty bad. Rupturing an eardrum, you know, you got to be hit pretty hard to rupture an eardrum. So, yeah, that happened. Did he have concussion? Now, a lot of people have said a traumatic brain injury brought on by a concussion wouldn't cause the personality change that Lars had. I beg to differ. I had concussion a few years ago and I was completely different for 3 whole weeks. I woke up in the morning after like 10 hours like being passed out. I woke up and I was so angry. I wanted people to start on me so that I could fight back. I was really angry. For 3 weeks, my personality was very, very different than normal. Normally I'm pretty chilled. I wouldn't say I was anxious, I was angry. So absolutely, if somebody had hit him hard enough to rupture his eardrum, there's a very, very good possibility that he had some kind of, maybe temporary, brain injury that no one realised. Could he have been mentally ill? Yeah, I guess, but he was perfectly normal up to the holiday and perfectly normal up until this altercation. So my best guess is that it was the altercation and the concussion that caused him to become incredibly paranoid. Now, there's always that possibility, you know, just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean that they're not out to get you. That's true, but there was no one outside the airport, no one inside the airport, no one outside the airport, there was no one following him. So what happened to Lars Mittank? Well, I don't think he's with us anymore. There's been, over the years, you know, people who've been found. There's a guy found in Brazil, turned out not to be him. Look a bit like him, but not to be him. I don't think he's with us anymore. But where he is, I don't know. How far did he run? Did he run outside of the search area? What happened to him? Whether he died of exposure. Now, obviously it's July, it was warm. But I don't know. I just don't know. People have been looking for this guy worldwide. But honestly, I don't know why people are looking worldwide, because he can't have left Bulgaria. Unless he's travelled across land and got into different European countries that way. But I think the trail ends in Bulgaria. But how far he went, where he went, I do not know. Have you heard of this case? It's pretty famous. Let me know what you think in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.